Almost 1 in 10 of the soldiers who died on the first day of the Somme were from the 36th Ulster Division. Later this afternoon, members of their families will be among those attending a ceremony at the Ulster Memorial Tower in Thiepval.
The Ulster Tower stands in France to honour those who travelled here from Ireland to fight in the Great War. It's a replica of a building they would have seen as they travelled up Belfast Lough, leaving behind family and friends. What happened on the edge of Thiepval Woods hasn't been forgotten. In Belfast, the images of that great war still stand out, along with those lasting connections to the Somme, a place where the Ulster Regiment went to serve and where that word sacrifice never meant more.
These are the reconstructed trenches of the 36th Ulster Division as they would have been on the first day of the Battle of the Somme, 1916. They've been reconstructed by archaeologists as a result of the digs that they've conducted right here. The front line, this is the front line. The Germans were up there. This is one of the most strongly defended parts of the German front line. So this was a brutal target at the Battle of Somme. The German trenches were out there. The woods, the same woodland would have been here as it was in July 1916, before much of the wood was destroyed during the Battle of the Somme. The Germans were out in the fields beyond. 4 lines of defensive trenches, and the Schwaben was out, the absolutely infamous, incredibly strong machine gun, series of machine gun nests. It was the Schwaben out. The Ulster Division here, perhaps about 8,000 men went over the front line on that morning, just after 7 o'clock in the morning on the 1st of July 1916. Now I say 7 o'clock deliberately because they went over half an hour before everyone else. The Ulstermen adopted very unusual tactics here. They went with light loads. They crawled out along these saps. These are called saps. These are trenches here that go forward into no man's land. They crawled out. They had very good support from French artillery that managed to destroy quite a lot of the barbed wire, and they hunched in no man's land waiting for the British bombardment to finish, only 20 yards or so from the German frontline trenches, so that when the British bombardment finished at 7:30 in the morning, they jumped up and they surged forward. They didn't march forward in long lines like they did everywhere else on the Somme. They crashed forward, the Ulster charge, and they did manage to penetrate deep into German defences. Sadly, what followed was tragedy. The British artillery didn't realise how well they'd done, and the Ulstermen were shelled by their own British artillery. They were deep in German trenches. That meant they were surrounded on 3 sides by the Germans, and through the day and later that night they were counterattacked. They were annihilated by machine gun fire, and nearly everyone who penetrated that deeply was killed or wounded. 5,500 Ulstermen killed or wounded in around 24 hours. More than half, a lot more than half of those who went in over this line of trenches on the 1st of July 1916. It's a moment that has, of Northern Irish history, that is extremely famous in Northern Ireland with people there to this day. And it's a day that will live in infamy in the history of Northern Ireland.
Anthony Farrelly, the great nephew of an Irish Guardsman, leaves the mass bands to beat the drummer's call, which will signal the next phase of the parade when the colour is troops through the ranks of the other guards. The vast majority of Irish Guards are Irish or of Irish descent. They come from north and south, from all creeds and backgrounds. It's a custom that religion and politics, anyway at a personal level, aren't discussed. And so they march past to the regimental quick march, St. Patrick's Day.
Display is from the Royal Irish Regiment, which is a descendant of the many Irish regiments who fought not just in this century, but in several before it. off they go to Killaloe, the regimental march of the Royal Irish Rangers. Listen out at the end for the shout of yo, which is a tradition of the Irish regiments. They say they used to do it to draw attention to themselves when they arrived in a new town. They said it helped with recruiting.